By the early 1970s, Alice Cooper had turned rock concerts into a grandly theatrical and violent brand of heavy metal. He drew from classic horror movies and vaudeville to stage electric chairs, guillotines, and fake blood for a generation of fans. This macabre stagecraft earned him the title of the Godfather of shock rock, a figure designed to offend the sensibilities of every American subculture. The sound driving this image was a gritty, raw garage rock, built on simple riffs and 60s pop melodies, becoming the soundtrack for teenage rebellion. Critics expected this version of Alice, the ultimate heavy metal villain who never broke character. Then, in 1976, he released his second solo studio album, Alice Cooper Goes to Hell. He replaced his heavy metal riffs with an eclectic mix of funk, jazz, and Broadway show tunes. It was a stylistic pivot that felt significantly less like a traditional rock concert and much more like a vaudeville production. On a supposedly dark concept album about a man cast into the devil's land, Cooper included a literal disco track. Rock purists who bought the record expecting the grit of his previous work were instead met with a polished theatrical entertainer. Cooper's most provocative stunt wasn't a new horror trick. He shocked his audience by embracing the very mainstream genres they expected him to destroy. The major music press responded to this shift with immediate hostility. Rolling Stone accused him of abandoning rock for radio goo and soppy old standards, suggesting he was trying to be a polite anarchist. The production was so incredibly slick that some critics complained he sounded like he had teamed up with Walt Disney or the Muppets. Many reviewers missed the humor behind the concept. Cooper's intentional joke was that hell itself was a 1970s disco. Beneath the Camp, the record featured the soft ballad, I Never Cry, which Cooper later described as a deeply confessional song about his personal demons. During the recording, Cooper was suffering from severe alcoholism and anemia. His health deteriorated so quickly that he was forced to cancel the entire tour for the album before it even began. While critics panned the soft direction of the record, the vulnerability on the tracks was a realistic account of his own physical and mental collapse. Despite the negative reviews, the public connected with the new sound. The album reached the top 30 and earned a gold certification from the IRAA. The elements that critics hated in 1976 provided the specific components for the next 20 years of hard rock. John Lydon of the Sex Pistols later claimed his career started by miming Alice Cooper on a jukebox. He saw in Alice a refusal to be typecast, a defiant attitude that became a central component of the punk movement. The success of the confessional I Never Cry demonstrated the commercial power of the rock ballad, showing that a hard rock artist could show vulnerability and reach the top of the charts. By the 1980s, glam and hair metal bands were using this exact template to become global superstars. This era also cemented the macabre horror theatricality that would eventually define the look and stagecraft of 90s nu metal acts like Rob Zombie. The vulnerability, camp, and genre blending that 1976 critics dismissed became the standard tools for the most successful subgenres in rock history. Looking back, the 1976 backlash was a pivot point. The elements Cooper introduced, the confessionals and theatrical genre bending, led directly to punk, glam, and nu metal. Alienating his audience in the short term expanded the vocabulary of what a heavy metal entertainer could be. Alice Cooper Goes to Hell shows that the most shocking thing an artist can do isn't using a prop or fake blood. It's having the fearlessness to abandon their own successful formula.